All right. What's up? I'm back. Did everybody miss me? I spent the last 8 days on the road, 9 days on the road. I was out in SF for B-Sides SF and RSA. And then I flew clear across the country on Thursday, which is the day that I write my newsletter. And the fucking Wi-Fi was broken on the plane. So, yeah, Jay, I need lobby music. You're right. I need some music for the stream starting time. I've not figured a lot of that out, like the DRM freeze stuff and getting into OBS. Morning, Bill. Morning, Nightcry. Bill's on his way to Houston. Very cool. We have so much to talk about, like an aggressive amount of stuff to talk about. Good to see you too last week, Bill. It's pretty cool walking around conferences. Bill was there. Some of my other team was there. It's pretty cool walking around being like, and these are the people that helped me at Vulnerable You. Makes me feel legitimate. Small Bills, what's up? The old Cisco hold music. Man, that guy should have gotten royalties for life, right? Whoever wrote that. We have an aggressive amount of things to talk about. I don't even know where to start. What's up, 6-0? What's up, Fred? The gang's all here. All the regulars are here. Seems like we have more people in Twitch than usual. Hi, new Twitch friends. So, where do we want to start? Do we want to start supply chain? Do we want to start Claude Code had its source code leaked this morning? Yeah, okay. That's what people want to start with. Well, let's do it. What's up, Mohammed? All right. So Claude Code, source code leaked. Yes. Not that like consequential of a leak, to be honest, but still kind of fun, right? To kind of like click around and see all the stuff that's behind the scenes, like hidden flags and unreleased features and things like that. I haven't even wrapped my head around like how the leak actually happened via a map file in their NPM registry. Oh, here it is. Pub source.zip. Yeah. Yeah, you want the model. Everyone wants the model. Instead, it's just the Claude Code. Kind of front-end source code. So you're going to read a lot of headlines about this. Of course, I had to talk about it. It's a big deal. I think the more interesting part is the lessons learned of how they leaked it, right? And like how to not do this. Because this is the kind of stuff, man. People just treat GitHub like it's this walled garden, special snowflake kind of place. Claude team is usually pretty transparent. I'm interested in like the post-mortem on this when they talk about like how they stubbed their toe, leaking everything. But yeah, supposedly we have a Tamagotchi style AI pet, maybe an April Fool, like a Reddit style April Fool's joke coming out. We have this persistent assistant mode, the always on Claude. We have an ultra plan, 30-minute remote planning sessions, coordinator mode, multi-agent orchestrator. These are basically unreleased features is kind of what we're seeing, right? Here's another tweet. Sorry, I don't like clicking around Twitter on camera for obvious reasons. Some people have, I think what's going on Twitter right now is people are feeding the source code leak to Claude to then generate summaries of the things that were leaked in Claude Code, which is a funny, ironic thing. But yeah, you could see some of these unreleased things. Can you guys read this? This is kind of small. It's kind of small on my screen. Oh gosh, I can't even zoom in. What if I open this image in a new tab? There we go. So yeah, this Easter egg thing, whatever, right? Not that big a deal. Persistent assistant, 4-phased forked subbed agent, Orient, gather, consolidate, prune. This is honestly feels a little like Pi. I think I've talked about Pi on stream before. The Daniel Miessler project. It kind of sounds like something that, you know, works in Pi. An ultra plan feature. What should we do with the info? Download the code. Yeah, I mean, if you're interested, the code's out there. Go nuts, right? It's like I said, this isn't like a very consequential leak. It's more just kind of like interesting that it happened to begin with, right? I don't know. This is also like within the last, you know, little bit, right? So maybe we'll find some more stuff that is part of this leak that we don't know yet. But as of right now, I'm not seeing anything that's like too consequential, more just like crap for them, right? New attack vectors is an interesting thing, right? Like if we can give Claude Code, with Claude Code source code, can we find some ways to exploit Claude Code users? That'd be interesting, even remotely. Be super interesting, right? I'm still on my first coffee here, everybody. So don't mind me chugging away. We'll come back to this one. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I haven't had any time to like dig through the code myself, so I'm relying on the old Twitter thread intel here to tell me what's going on. Oh, the system prompts. That's kind of interesting. Ooh. I don't know if that's legit. Just random Twitter account is tweeting out system prompts. But yeah, I mean, we'll come back to it. We'll see if anything consequential comes out of that. Currently, not really, right? More egg on face. The real story of the day. I was wildly impressed. I was covering this on Twitter last night. What up, low level? And real professional YouTuber John Hammond was already live and recording his YouTube video last night. I was literally in bed. I was literally head on pillow. John Hammond in front of the camera at, I think he's on the East Coast nowadays, 11 something p.m. He was live streaming and recording this supply chain attack. Low level, did you already do your video on this? I'm like, do I even bother doing the video? Everyone in cybersecurity YouTube is going to do a video on this. Do I even bother? Low levels is going to be better than mine. John's is already out. Like by the time I get mine to my editor and put it out, it'll be next week. Maybe I'll do like a follow up after the fizzle. So if you guys don't know, so this dependency got hacked last night. We've been dealing with like weeks of NPM dependencies getting popped via GitHub account, like stuff being popped. The problem is with this one is it's like one of the top downloaded dependencies. So it's an HTTP client for the browser and Node.js, and it's effing everywhere. Okay, we got 100 million weekly downloads, just a giant number, right? And they got hacked. The maintainer got hacked, and the hackers started pushing malware into this massively downloaded dependency. So basically, if you're one of the 100 million weekly downloads that had Axios in your package JSON and NPM and pulled down any of these versions of it, you caught malware, right? So yeah, the most widely used HTTP client in the JavaScript ecosystem. Release appears outside of normal window. The break in the project's normal release pattern indicates the package may have been published outside the standard release process. Axios maintainers were unable to regain control of the project. In a public GitHub issue, a collaborator stated they could not revoke access from the account responsible for the malicious publish, noting the attacker's permissions exceeded their own. I did actually set this up. I think the only weakness here is possibly with the blah, 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 with which still leveraged a token. I have removed that token. We have trusted publishing on V1. Glad the zero token is gone. The one thing I noticed in the V1 is, this published workflow still passes the node auth token to npm publish. To close that gap, you'd remove and revoke that token. Axios maintainer since publicly responded publicly stating they are actively working to understand how the compromise occurred and to secure the release process. So their account got popped, right? I saw whispers of this going on Twitter before like most of the people caught wind about it, because I saw people begging for someone from the NPM security team to write them. And this is what they wound up trying to get their attention for. Here, check this out. So this was 9 o'clock last night for me, which is, we can check the timeline in a second. So I saw this. There's only one reason a security researcher is like begging, need someone from NPM JS security team to DM me now. VX Underground. Low level. What up in chat? Jump scare. This does not sound great. Yeah. So this was 12 hours ago, and 11 hours ago is when kind of Faraz put out the main tweet letting everyone know what happened 9 million views later, right? So it pulls this crypto package, supply chain malware installer. It deobfuscates embedded payloads, operational strings as soon as you update to this version, right? Executes decoded shell commands. This is where stuff gets spicy, right? Copies payload files into OS, just standard malware stuff. The gist, right? Oh, wait, here. This picture wasn't here the last time I had this blog open. So they're actively uploading this over at Socket. Suspicious publisher activity. These are the versions to look out for. The thing that I wanted to kind of chat about here is that NPM like removed this, depublished these versions pretty quick, right? Where is that update? This is like malware analysis. We can get into this in a sec if we have the brain cells left. Here's the rat commands, anti-forensics, standard like good malware stuff, right? Oh, they're saying OpenClaw uses these dependencies, indicators of compromise. All right, Socket doesn't talk about that. I think Wiz had a good write-up. Let's go to the Wiz write-up. Audit your Axios usage, rotate exposed credentials, investigate potential compromise, monitor for specific activity. What? Oh, no, this isn't great either. The important thing to note here is that NPM pulled it down, right? So the exposure window was probably pretty small, but with 100 million weekly downloads, any exposure window pretty likely got sucked up at some point, right? I'm trying to figure out the actual exposure window. I just tweeted this out. I do know that Windows malware payload dropped was different for different victims. Our research found PowerShell payload had an exe. Interesting. Oh, this is Ox security. All right. So a lot of these write-ups are still moving. This literally happened like as people were going to bed last night. So any of these write-ups that you're seeing were like written late at night last night. Yeah. Oh man. Grok is giving out bad advice. Oh, that's funny, man. Look at this. All right. Virtually every vendor at RSA was an AI SOC vendor. And here's an issue with AI being your security engineer. Grok, thoughts on like this thing? And Grok comes in, says Axios 1141 got hijacked. NPM yanked it. Pin to caret 1140. I'm pretty sure this means you would still download 1141, right? This is not how the pin works. Is that what the commands are saying? Yeah. Do not do this. Do not, because that's not how you pin to a version. You'd still be vulnerable. Croc, what the fuck? What part? The caret. It means greater than, so you'd get safe patches. Oh no. Oh no. Grok, no. Grok. Grok. All right. That's funny and bad. Yeah. Oh gosh, that's so silly. What up, Eddie? I don't understand why there isn't a secure channel these dependencies have to move through to be incorporated. There's too many. There's too many. Have you seen the stuff about the Xanthorox model? No, I have not. RSA Expo floor. The AI generated apocalypse is coming. We're all going to die. But we'll keep you secure while you wait. No, that wasn't the Expo floor. The Expo floor was come ride my bull or watch my wrestling match. Kind of trick people to get to your booth. You're using Grok to get your NPM workload command. You deserve it. Oh, man. Unfortunately, a lot of people are using AI for this kind of stuff. Where can you get the Claude source? People are tweeting the link all over the place. It's on GitHub. If you want to download it, it's a lot of places. Is the leak legit? Yes. The Claude Code source code leak is legit. Are you guys... Oh, and yeah, this was pretty funny. This is not related. Not related, but as part of the Claude Code source code leak, they found that they used Axios. Brandon, oh man, you're running an incident on Axios. I'm sorry. That sucks. I literally woke people up over this. I was texting people last night like, yo, you got to start an incident. I got a funny comment on TikTok. I did a TikTok video about it, and someone was like, "Hey, no disrespect, but but I'm not going to start an incident over a TikTok." And then, like, on my phone, I've got like CISOs of major financial institutions thanking me for a heads up. So some people think I'm a TikToker. Some people think I'm threat intelligence. I don't know. The real life is somewhere in between there. Claude Code does not have malware confirmed. We don't know if they pinned the version, were exposed, anything like that. I wouldn't assume that Claude Code has malware right now. Verified. This is not code for fun. This is a real line in the code. Oh man. We're going to be finding so many Easter eggs in there because, like, the Claude Code developers have 100% come out and said that Claude Code writes all of Claude Code's code. Like, it writes itself, right? Like, no humans write Claude Code's code anymore. So now that we get to look at it, we're going to find all sorts of little Easter eggs. I would not assume that Claude Code has malware now. They use Axios, that's a thing, but this isn't just because someone used Axios, because like over 100 million weekly downloads, pretty much everyone's got Axios. The exposure window was small for people to have had to have been running in their package JSON like Axios latest and grab the update in the exposure window, right? What's up? Thanks for the follow. Racing Duck, yeah. What dependencies or benefits do you think people could take advantage of in the coming period from the source code? Yeah, I don't know. So like Racing Duck said, there's a ton of, let me pull it back up. I had it up. Where did it go? Here. Yeah, there's some, I mean, take this with a grain of salt because this is pretty obviously someone passed the source code to AI to like generate like some summaries. But yeah, we've got like this little hidden Tamagotchi mode. It's going to be an April Fool's joke. Like I'm guessing, you know, like Reddit does. We've got this Kairos thing. This feels like Pi. You guys have heard me talk about Pi before, right? Well, I see some of you guys are new names. What's up? Racing Duck and Eddie and Uba and Gato BC. You guys all feel new. What's up? What's up? Thanks for being here. They feel like these features to me. Let me pull this on screen. This Daniel Miessler personal AI infrastructure project, Pi, has a lot of that Kairos sounding stuff. Right? So like, let's compare. Where did I just put that? Here. So 4-phase forked subagent, orient, gather, consolidate, prune. All output via send user message, receive tick, send user file, push notification, subscriber PR, sleep tool. So like this, wait, nightly dream, 4-phase project. I don't know. I don't think the leak is man, you're right. It is April Fool's already. I don't think so. But this is big on what like Pi does, right? So like Pi does a lot more than that. But like one of the things that I love about Pi is this whole like algorithm thing. Literally, look right here. Right? Little different, right? It's not quite the same as this Kairos thing. Orient, gather, consolidate, prune. I mean, so that's a little different, right? But like observe, think, plan, build, execute, verify, learn is like literally what Pi does. I highly recommend you guys check this project out, by the way. Free open source project. It just makes Claude Code work a whole lot better. He's up to 11,000 stars. That's pretty cool. Good for Dan. I got to hang out with Dan a ton last week. So out at RSA and stuff. Him and I get pulled to a lot of the same things. He's got big plans for this, right? And this is like one of the other cool parts about it is like you can give it a lot of context about yourself before you do it. Anyway, we're not talking about Pi right now, but I thought it was interesting that some of the features under there kind of feel Pi-ish. Wouldn't be outside of the norm for Claude Code to start baking in open source like enhancers to Claude Code into their core stuff, right? They did this a ton with OpenClaw too, right? Like OpenClaw basically exists now in this. But yeah, for those of you hopping in late and asking if the Claude Code leak is legit, yes, it is. Whoa. So I've got some vulnerability research going on. You remember how I told you guys, for those of you who usually hang out and stream, you remember how I told you I was going to like kick off some research, vulnerability research for content? Well, that's still going. What's up? Thanks for subscribing, UB. Welcome. All right. Those of you racing deck, if you find anything else when you're reversing, let me know. I'm going to keep an eye on Twitter while we're streaming. so that we can see if anyone else sees anything in that source code as people start to reverse it. Oh my gosh. Someone on their team ran... Okay, so here's the thing. Someone on the Claude Code team ran a production build of Claude Code. The compiler generated a .map file, which is literally a blueprint that reverses the entire code base back to its original source. They published it straight to NPM for the whole world to download. And they exposed by a config file. Yeah. So this is very likely Claude Code making this mistake and publishing this to NPM, right? Not someone there. Repository from near Halas. Is that? Yeah, that looks like it, right? Hold on. I closed GitHub. What? Let's see. I think that's the one. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's legit. Yeah, it's going viral on Twitter because, yeah, I mean, he was just the person that put it on GitHub and got a lot of attention. Yeah, that's it. Oh, wow. People have the Tamagotchi mode up and running. Look. Oh, I'm not sharing my browser. So people have already like reversed and fired up the little Tamagotchi mode in the source code. What is this? Claude Code source leaked hidden Tamagotchi / buddy. Undercover mode. If Claude is used on public resources, it goes full undercover. Can't mention AI. Cannot reveal it's Claude. No co-authored by hints. That's pretty interesting. Internal code name leaks. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I wonder if there's going to be any ripple effects tying back to the model at all, you know? Yeah, Kairos. Private Anthropic repos exposed. Hard-coded allow list show internal projects. Yeah, but we can't, like, see the internal projects, just the names. Stickers is a merch store. Crypto payments. Good Claude. Responses randomly say baked for 45 seconds, etc. Staging domains leaked. API key string is split to avoid detection. You've been up all night because your CTO doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Our dev team moved off JS years ago. Oh, so you're running an incident that you don't need to be running. Your CTO got scared and kept you awake to run an incident, and you don't need to be running it. Brandon, I'm sorry. So fair? I guess a fair question. I don't know your environment. I don't know your day job. I guess the question would be: you moved off JS, but do you have any downstream dependency nonsense? Right. Hats off to the really smart people reverse engineering the code to make things more awesome. Yeah. Oh, so people keep coming in under these like tweets and saying like, hey, you likely just gave the code to Claude and you're just tweeting what it said. The XRF2 crypto payments are made up. The undercover mode description overstates the scope. So the interesting bit, like I guarantee pretty soon here we're going to hear from the Claude Code team. Like they're super transparent. Like, and super active on social media, right? Claude Code's full source code was leaked via a map file, Anthropic NPM registry. The entire unobfuscated TypeScript source was downloadable as a zip from their R2 bucket. I forked a backup, added a deep audit, full architecture docs, complete system prompt text. That's kind of gnarly, right? That's super sensitive info. OAuth creds API endpoints. That could be really bad. There could be some ripple effects from that. This was all barely in the last 2 hours, right? So this is definitely very, very actively exploiting. So 6 hours ago was the leak. A lot of the analysis coming out in the last 2 hours. All 23 compile time feature flags documented. Git Nexus knowledge graph. Internal codename Tengu. Yeah, here's his GitHub repo for it. That seems legit. Also, well, not a lot of stars on this one. The other one's, oh, that's the other guy that you're talking about, right? How it leaked. Fried Rice discovered that the published NPM package included a map file. Ugh. That's the real takeaway here, right? That's the real takeaway, is how easy it was for Claude Code to publish this stuff to NPM. Man, so many freaking incidents to run today, right? So like Anthropic is running an incident because their source code just leaked. I'm guessing they've got creds. I'm guessing there's secrets in here, right? Like there's got to be secrets in here that they're out there rotating. I mean, this is one of the reasons you don't do secrets in source code. To do fix upstream. Racing Doc, are you currently combing through source code right now? I haven't downloaded it myself yet. Let me know what you keep finding. Oh, man. That didn't come through, Gato. You said, what is that? I just got stars on my side. Check the commits on the repo. Which repo? This one? Forked from this guy. The commits here. I mean, this is him reversing it, right? This is him basically reversing the whole shebang, right? Implement API key. Admin dashboard routes. All routes under /admin require the requesting user to have is_admin equals true. I think this is the main repo. Oh, are you not talking about the leak repo? Are you just like straight talking Claude Code? Are you talking Claude Code's main repo? No, you are talking the leak. It's too much code. He must have had it for more than one day. No, right? He's just dumping it, right? You're just seeing the title. Is it true? What's my title? I don't even know what my title is right now. Claude Code leak? Yeah, we're looking at the Claude Code source code right now. Here it all is. Yeah, that's what I thought. Strayed. Yeah. This is the source code leak. Why would he have had to have had it for more than one day? This is just in a zip file, right? Like that they published, and he's just dumping it. I don't know why into all these different commits though, right? That's kind of interesting. This is kind of crazy. Oh, here's that buddy. A small species named Name sits beside the user inbox and occasionally comments in a speech bubble. This is the prompt for the little Tamagotchi dude. Sprites. Oh, here are the sprites. Dragon. Octopus. This doesn't look right in here. It's probably just not rendered properly. Let's see. What might be interesting? Skills. What skills do they bundle? Yeah, we kind of know this, right? This is all public. You're not totally convinced it was a true mistake as heir of a masterclass marketing campaign. A little too neat. Maybe. A .map file winding up in NPM. Maybe. I mean, total tinfoil hat, right? Total tinfoil hat. He has a backup branch that shows only the import without his 2000 commits. It has no real red meat, just a crazy amount of Easter eggs and rabbit holes. If GitHub paid for page visits, he'd be rich. Yeah, no joke. You're right. There is a backup branch. What does the backup branch look like? Five commits. Oh, yeah. What the hell is he doing on the main branch? A knit, add source code from source.zip. That's not even the same person. Who's this person? Ultra Think Engineer. Initial ads. So why are we then going through and doing all this other stuff? Like, this is the same file, right? Like, if I go in here, it's going to be the same file. Yeah. What is the 2000 commits? That's so weird. Good call on the backup branch. So yeah, you're saying no real red meat. There's a few thoughts there, right? Number one is like good, right? Good practice of not committing secrets to source code. So it's like the fact that there's no real red meat is like, hey, did Claude Code that builds Claude Code do it better than normal people? Because if normal people's source code got leaked, there would have been red meat. So that's like an interesting thought. Number two, like Claude Code is just kind of the front end app, right? Like we are just talking about like a very good terminal app at the end of the day. Like this isn't the models. This isn't like the, you know, a lot of the other stuff. This is just kind of the features that and scaffolding around interacting with Claude, like for the code stuff. I guess maybe some of the, I wonder, like, you're kind of right though in like where is the secret sauce of like why is Claude Code like do so much better at a lot of the Claude stuff? Backup branch is how the map file shows. The main file is reorganizing on his way. The markdown files added by the leaker. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is basically the UI source, Jay, is like how to think about it, right? Docker file and other stuff added by the leaker. Yeah. Working on it several days, probably weeks. I mean, you're the second person to say that. It seems like it's just the last few hours, right? Oh man, this is funny. The threat researcher that's behind the Axios supply chain attack, denial of service themselves with the amount of data and volume of data coming in. I got to find that. I got to find a source on that. Yeah, that Hervey, that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Is I don't think this is days and weeks. I think the person publishing all that on GitHub is just using Claude Code to go through the leak and like has a prompt adding context and all that, right? Think they're preparing the source to be browsable or easy to explore. Yeah, okay. Real tinfoil hat. Imagine how much time is being burnt at OpenAI and Google to dig through this information. Yeah, maybe, kind of, right? It's also like, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. But like from what we've seen so far, like not a lot of it is like hard to like reproduce. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, these are like forward-facing user features. The system prompts are interesting. I wonder what else we could look for. Interactive helpers. No way the guy would have reverse engineered all the map files. So organized document Docker, so able to run Docker Compose Docker along with all the documentation and organization. Well, who's to say they're doing it, right? Versus just throw Claude at it. I don't know. It's just so massive. You really hope no one gets fired. Yeah, Ultraplan has reading in some comments, fires after every CCR turn, long-running monitors, autofix PR, emit result per notification cycle, calling the bug hunter for remote view. Yeah, we could look at Ultraplan stuff. Dangerously low development channels. Feature Kairos. This is some of that, like, this is some of the stuff that looked new and unreleased, right? These like Kairos features. If feature Kairos or feature Kairos channels, then do this. Dangerously low development channels confirmation on accept. Append dev channels to any channels list already set in main. Org policy is not bypassed. Get channel server still runs. Interesting. I wonder if this is like, I wonder if you can force like main Claude Code that like we all have into dev mode with some of these hidden flags. Gate channel server and channels notice read Tengu. That was an internal keyword too, right? Tengu. A cold disk cache fresh install or first run after the flag with server side channel notifications for the whole session. What cool things can we do with the code? Yeah, I mean, we're all just kind of, everyone on planet Earth is just kind of like reversing it and reading it at the moment to see what we found. No secrets. Well, someone said OAuth tokens. Anyone in chat find any OAuth tokens? I didn't see any of that. CLI commands, components, constants. All right, let's go back to the main branch because even though this is like added by that person, maybe some of it's helpful, right? Explore with MCP server. Oh man. My Twitch, here, I'll put it in chat. That's my Twitch name. This repo ships an MCP server that lets any MCP compatible client explore the file source interactively. Everyone releases an MCP server, even people helping you dive through leaked source code. That's so funny. You can find the core logic of the bug hunter. Commands review, read through some comments. Someone talked about teleported reviews, like a teleport command. Like teleport the security vendor? I love teleport. They're an awesome tool. It's so funny to me that the person who leaked the source code started an MCP server to help people dig through the code. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And then the MCP server has tools built in. Explain tool, explain command, architecture overview. Get a tour of the full architecture of Claude Code. How does it work? Jay, your tinfoil hat is growing by the minute. Well, guys, I guarantee the leakers here are using Claude Code too, right? Like this is just Claude Code helping people go through Claude Code. Gato, this is the GitHub. This is the GitHub you talked about. Is it possible to create an AI? What in the world do you mean? Yeah, Gato, this is in the repo that you told me about. Is it possible to create an AI is such a funny question. Yes, you now have Claude Code, source code. You can now create your own AI. Have fun creating Skynet. All right, so architecture, tool system. Every tool that Claude can invoke is a self-contained module with its own input schema, permission model, and execution logic. Gosh, guys, I have so many tabs of stuff to talk about today. There was so much security news in the last week. And like, here we are reversing source code, which is something that we don't usually do on stream. But we're going to read source code for however long today because it's fun. You don't think the hacker leaked this because they have the source model of Sonnet and Opus as proof? There's no evidence that the model was included in this, right? This was a leak via NPM. Like the model doesn't touch NPM, right? Claude Code does. So, yeah. Small biz, you vote, we move on and talk about other news. I don't know. I am kind of having fun. We can leave and come back to it, but command system, service layer, bridge system. All right, we got 2 votes for move on. I hear you guys. Let's do it. Sorry, very big rabbit hole. We'll keep an eye on this, all right? I know, like I said that earlier and more people came in chat and asked questions. We'll keep an eye on this. It looks like in the last couple hours, some people have been committing to this one. I'm going to keep an eye on Twitter. You know what? I'm going to like tweet and just be like, yo, come into chat. Oh, man. This isn't good. We have this guy. I did a webinar with this guy a while ago. He's from Ox Security. I just found a CT server from the Axios incident that sends different Windows payloads to different victims. So the Axios thing is still very much active and going on. Yeah, racing. I was just reading that comment. Dangerously low development channels. I was just reading that comment. Those emojis in the commits, definitely Claude going through Claude. Yeah, for sure. Seeing at 4 a.m. Eastern just Massive rabbit hole, no mess, no suit. Yeah, Jay, I think I agree. It's also early, right? Like it's a big code base to go through. Yeah, looks like this is significantly more sophisticated malware than people realized, right? Different Windows payloads to different victims. I guess that's based on fingerprinting. We're gonna see if what is he saying? That's not this. Yeah, this guy. This is so funny. So the Axios hacker accidentally DOSed their own infrastructure with the volume of data coming back. I don't know about exposure, but I do know the Windows malware payload dropped was different for different victims. Our research found a PowerShell payload. Others had an EXE. Yeah, it's super interesting. So this Axios thing is probably one of the bigger things we could spend some time talking about. The like overarching bit here, though, is that we are just in a absolute shitstorm of these supply chain hacks. I mean, the Claude Code leak is kind of related, right? They push this shit to NPM. It's just like these PyPy and NPM packages are just the center of like all of our nightmares right now, right? We've been banging pots and pans about this forever. I mean, scroll back on my YouTube channel. See how many times I put NPM in the freaking thumbnail, right? Like extensions and dependencies and just the lack of control we have over them is just insane. I'll stay all night. I might need some help from Open Code or something. Racing Duck, I look forward to you finding some really cool stuff. So this one was interesting. So LightLLM wasn't something I was super familiar with. I knew it. Like this is from like 6 days ago, right? But shit, man, security news moves so fast. So LightLLM, it's like a gateway project that provides a single API to a bunch of different LLMs. The reason it's like a good target is that since it's a gateway, a lot of secrets go through here. And this team PCP has been like the group claiming responsibility for a lot of these hacks. They also, I think the one that started the LightLLM one was this Aqua Trivy scanner. I've used Trivy in my life. Aqua is a like container security company. So if you want to like run Docker container vulnerability scans, Trivy is like one of the main tools out there that does this, right? Paul McCarty warned that Trivy had been backdoored with malicious container images, GitHub releases published to its user. Socken and Wiz determined the attack affected multiple GitHub actions, compromising nearly all version tags of the Trivy repository, right? Rami was in my DMs last night talking about he's been busy, man. He's been researching the Axios one too. So going back to the Aqua Trivy one, because this is one of the ones that this was like a ripple effect thing. So Team PCP got into Trivy and then used a lot of the shit from Trivy to like pivot into these other things. Like we're wondering, I don't think that this has anything to do, no, this definitely doesn't have anything to do with the Claude Code source leak. But in Claude Code, we have seen some of these dependencies that have been impacted by attacks like this. So this is kind of like a wild web that we're weaving here, right? Wiz Research continues to track Team PCP activity. The threat actor has expanded operations to the NPM ecosystem via this canister worm, leveraging stolen published tokens. So this is the deal, right? So why this is like the way that a lot of hackers are focusing on right now is that once you get into one of these developer accounts that are privileged maintainers for some of these major dependencies, is the key thing that they're looking for are these published tokens. So this gives them the ability to then publish malicious code into further dependencies. So what happens is You get these open source maintainers. Say you're a maintainer of this Axios project with 100 million downloads. You likely are a maintainer of other projects as well. And since you get popped, excuse me, since you get popped, the attacker can then steal your published tokens and then push malware to different dependencies. And this is where stuff starts worming, right? And this is why there's major ripple effects. Is if they can just kind of keep popping GitHub accounts, then you keep going down the chain, and this is where the stuff starts worming around, right? Attackers were able to publish malicious images of Trivy to Docker Hub. The attacker also demonstrated continued access to Aqua by publishing internal Aqua repositories publicly on GitHub. March 23rd, Aqua's blog post is updated with additional details. This incident is distinct from previous instance earlier this month. And a lot of this is happening via GitHub CI/CD shit, right? Morning. The compromised multiple components of the Trivy projects, the core scanner, the Trivy action, GitHub action, setup Trivy, GitHub action. The attack was conducted with access retained following incomplete containment of an earlier incident. What's up? Thanks for following. Welcome. The self-identified Team PCP made imposter commits that were published to action/checkout while spoofing some command, and Aqua security Trivy while spoofing another. Oh no, these aren't commands. These are usernames. Sorry. And then Trivy repository tag was pushed, triggering a release. This is the nasty bit, right? Because like we've seen people get like malicious code in. I'm reading Wiz's blog from last week about the Trivy compromise, because this is all like ripple effects from this kind of stuff that we're seeing into NPM and PyPy, including this Claude Code leak. Welcome. Thanks for subscribing if you're here. Oh, you know what might be happening if I'm getting a lot of subscribers that aren't actually hanging out in here? Is my YouTube video getting a lot of traction right now? No, not really. This happened once before when I was live, that I had like a YouTube short going, catching a little air. No, not really. So if you're here, welcome. Thanks for hanging out. So yeah, I'm kind of tracing back the ripple effects and telling you guys the whole story of like why everyone's having a really rough week right now. Because these attackers are targeting NPM and PyPy so wildly that the ripple effects are just insane. The GitHub workflow. The attacker injected a 3-stage payload into both Trivy action, setup Trivy, and setup Trivy. When downstream workflow executed their actions, the payload ran in the victim's GitHub Actions runner. These kinds of vulns have existed a long time. I know a lot of people have like done a lot of bug bounty hunting and actually printed bug bounties by attacking a lot of GitHub Action runners. This is like a known bad thing, right? Malware scrape memory from runner worker process by reading process PID mem and searching for the pattern value secret is secret true. It also swept the file system for SSH keys. Harvested credentials were encrypted, and then exfiltrated. The Trivy binary did a whole bunch of data stuff. So what happened was the attackers got into this security scanner. Then a bunch of people who use this security scanner as part of their CI/CD pipeline were getting their data exfiltrated. So it's not like it was that big of a deal that Trivy got popped, because like maybe there wasn't a ton of like secrets in Trivy repo. The problem is once they cut the release and you, a user of Trivy, started running it, all of a sudden you were exfiltrating your secrets to the attacker, if that makes sense, right? Review your workflows. If you reference the version tag, Check the workflow run logs for signs of compromise. Specifically, you can look up the run Trivy step of Trivy action, setup environment, or setup Trivy, and then you can look for exfiltration. Look for repository's name, team, PCP docs in your GitHub organization, which may indicate successful exfiltration via the fallback mechanism. So here you go. So malicious PR into your repo, right? GitHub actions. Stolen personal access token into your GitHub account. This goes into the Aqua security org. Abuses the creds, imposter commits, malicious code modifications. They're going to cut a release via this GitHub actions bit that gets pushed to Docker Hub that then has this secondary supply chain attack. And that's the stuff that we're really worried about, is the secondary stuff. Is this just all POCs? Yeah. So then the secondary bit, the biggest secondary bit that we read about for a while was this LightLLM, right? So LightLLM also kind of a cornerstone hack because it has access to a ton of sensitive information, got hacked via Trivy. So LightLLM did what they were supposed to do and built a security scanner into their CI/CD pipeline. That security scanner got popped, right? Breach believed to have cascading compromises, impacted Aqua Security Docker images, checkmarks, KICS project, and now LightLLM. The group has been found targeting Kubernetes clusters with malicious scripts that wipes all machines when it detects systems configured for Iran. Otherwise, it installs new canister worm backdoor on devices in other regions. A number of data exfils is approximately 500,000, with many being duplicates. VX Underground says, everyone calm down for a second. Earlier today, someone broke the news that there's a supply chain impacting LightLLM, 97 million installs. However, this has been determined to be not true. The payload was a success. The payload failed in specific edge cases. The threat actors managed to exfiltrate data from 500,000 infected machines, 300 gigs of data. You've confirmed this from 3 sources. The initial news, which is spreading all over social media, is incorrect, that this is actually... And this is actually a very big bamboozle. They had one opportunity and did indeed seize it, but only failing in specific and unknown edge cases. It's all over for LLM dependency nerds. Initially, it was reported the payload was vibe coded, which resulted in the payload failing. That part's not true. It did not fail, is kind of what they're getting at, right? So this is another attack that will have ripple effects. So we have ripple effects from Trivy that got them into LightLLM. LightLLM has ripple effects that's getting them into all sorts of other stuff. I don't even think we probably haven't had enough days to even really learn the full impact of this, because I'm guessing they got stuff that the attackers haven't even gotten to use yet, is my assumption. Because look at what they're grabbing, right? They're grabbing cloud creds, SSH keys. They're doing a whole bunch of system recon. They're doing a whole bunch of Kubernetes cluster secret stuff and a whole bunch of environment variables. So if they did this on 500,000 machines, like VX Underground said, how far down that list do you think they've gotten to actually go and run exploits? You know what I mean? Supply chain on supply chain. Yep. All right. So I've been zooming out. Where does that lead us to today? Oh my gosh, I have too many tabs. Too many tabs. All right, I have a couple more major things to talk about. but I kind of want to put a bow on this thing that we're talking about. Where's the GitHub repo link? What GitHub repo link? We've talked about a lot. Are you talking Claude Code? We've somewhat moved on. Would you like me to go back to it briefly? Here you go. If that's what you're asking for. What is this that I'm reading? So it looks like the Axios one was not. Holy shit, this is awesome. Was not Team PCP. It looks like the Axios supply chain attack might have actually been North Korea Lazarus Group. Attribution sucks. It doesn't matter, right? Status offline. Yeah. So it looks like we're getting more and more intel about the Axios stuff actually being Lazarus Group, and they're actually DOSing themselves. Is probably what some of this means. 404 offline on some of their stuff. Did you guys, I mean, look at this thing though. How cool is this? I'll come back down to the bottom in a sec. This guy's got a running gist on the analysis of the Axios supply chain attack. Drop payload analysis. Damn. People are fast. I don't really personally, attribution, especially this soon after we're analyzing stuff, is like not where I want to spend my brain power. What is this? C2 protocol. So this is the C2 for this supply chain attack that just went out. That'd be wild if it was North Korea. Do you guys know? No, that's not their MO, right? Their MO is not supply chain stuff. So that's kind of interesting. I'm trying to see if there's anything in this supply chain stuff. The Sigma rules, executive summary on what? Supply chain compromise verified, threat intelligence report. Damn, this is huge. How do they do this analysis so fast? I guarantee this is AI generated. Sources. Hunt.io talks about the Lazarus infra, so that's how they're tying it to them. And Contagious Interview. Yeah, all right. So it's shared C2 infrastructure is how they're tying it to them. Vulnerability analysis and kill switches. Makes you feel completely unfit. Well, do you do malware analysis for a living? I don't even do malware analysis. I haven't done malware analysis in a long time, but people do for a living. AI analyzing, AI analyzing, AI analyzing. Yup. extension subroutine research report. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in here. Shodan API. Why these are leads not confirmed. No malware files communicate with any of these IPs. Different fingerprints from the Axios C2. No shared domains. All right. These leads. Okay, I see. Searching Shodan, matching Axios C2 fingerprint. Interesting. Interesting. Man, it's so hard to keep up today. I kind of want to put a bow on the Trivy to LightLLM to Claude Code leak kind of story. I think that's going to be the video I make, is just like tying the whole story together. What up, gamer? Journalism is serious business. Gosh, brain hurts. All right, we have a few more big stories to hit really quick. And then we can kind of like linger on some of this stuff and maybe maybe record a YouTube video tying this whole story together. Gosh, I'm like literally feverishly scrolling my Twitter right now. No, babe, I love your package. The malicious ones scare me. That's funny. Oh, someone found a feature called anti-distillation Claude Code. That's interesting. Bit in the source code leak. So what now? After seeing AI a bunch of codes, it's not really that scary. Yeah. So far, nothing burger on the Claude Code source leak. Some interesting little Easter eggs, but so far, like nothing like crazy scary. All right. I think, you know, I should ask. God, Twitter DMs suck. Solst, if you're in chat, I don't know if you're here. Sometimes you're here, but Solst, I just DM'd you on Twitter. Some of my Twitter friends weren't at RSA and got. Wait, what? No, they're. Oh, it's a troll. Some of the people that weren't at RSA were much better at staying on top of a lot of the supply chain stuff than I was able to. Another big week for men who like to monitor the situation. All right. I'm like currently addicted to refreshing Twitter because so much is going on. And I'm trying to stay on top of it for you guys. All right. Okay, we're gonna walk away from it for a sec. We have a few more really big things to talk about. Then we can kind of like waste our time if we want. All right, staying in AI land. This was a big one, right? So this all happened this week. Oh my god. Holy shit. What a week. All right. Command injection vulnerability in OpenAI Codex leads to GitHub token compromise. Okay. You don't carry half of Matt's charisma. I rolled a D20 on charisma when I was born. I don't know. It happens. All right, command injection vulnerability in OpenAI Codex. This is put out by Beyond Trust. This is under talked about this week because holy shit, how could we pull up for air and actually talk about any of this stuff? But we've got a critical command injection vulnerability in Codex cloud environment, exposed sensitive GitHub credential data. The vulnerability exists within the task creation HTTP request, which allows an attacker to inject arbitrary commands through the GitHub branch name parameter. You fucking kidding me? So we could put arbitrary commands in a GitHub branch name and passed it to this. This can result in the theft of a victim's GitHub user access token, the same token that Codex uses to authenticate with GitHub. Risen with the tism. I mean, I'm certainly not fully baked on the not spectrum. You know, there's something going on. There's something going on here. I wrote a buddy guide in case you want to enumerate your RPNG buddy from Claude Code. Fairly simple. Yeah. Capybara. Yeah. So you're basically getting a jump start on their April Fool's joke. Oh god, another one. JFrog just released another compromised NPM package. I don't think it's a popular one though, right? All right, we have info about how the Axios supply chain attack happened. Lead maintainer's NPM was hacked. Hacker obtained NPM access token, changed registered mail to a Proton mail. All right, this is new. This is new. Sorry, I can't focus. Jesus Christ. Struggling. Hacker obtained NPM access token, changed a registered mail to a Proton mail, published directly via CLI, bypassing CI/CD checks, throwaway account, pre-staged attack 18 hours prior. Plain crypto.js used as a clean decoy. Plain crypto.js, another version, actual malicious payload. Triggered via npm post install hook, installed cross-platform rat, connected to the C2, self-destructed after execution. All right. That's wild. Sorry I'm flip-flopping. Just new stuff keeps coming out. All right, so Codex. So we got to this GitHub user access token part. I don't know how you even get the news and keep up with it. I mean, it's my job at this point. I was always obsessed with this though. So you just be chronically online. You neglect your mental health at all times, and you know, apologize to your family for your brain being elsewhere when it is. Oh man, I should have brought him into the office. The ADD is strong today. Guys, I went from RSA to PAX East in Boston this week, and I spoke at PAX East. And I got back into Magic the Gathering. I spent way too much money on Magic the Gathering cards at PAX East and stayed at the conference center until midnight every night playing Magic the Gathering. I won a tournament, a little Magic the Gathering, what do they call them? Draft. So like they give you packs and you build your deck on the fly. So no one can have just like a super good pack. Any Magic the Gathering fans in here? I used to play in the 90s. I haven't played in a long time, but yeah, okay. I just was thinking about that because I like came home and my brain was still in Magic the Gathering mode, and I had to like apologize to my family as I was like going through cards on my first day back from a long trip. That was my thought process there. Through automated techniques, this exploit can scale to compromise multiple users interacting with shared environment or GitHub repository. The vulnerability affects the ChatGPT website, Codex CLI, Codex XDK, and the Codex IDE extension. All reported issues have since been remediated. Okay, good. You play but haven't in a bit? Yeah, same. I had like, you know, a shoebox of like cards from the 90s that like my friends in college a bunch of my roommates in college remembered that we all used to play Magic the Gathering. And we all like went home, got our shoeboxes out of our like childhood bedrooms and brought them back to college. And we played for a little bit. And that was about the last time that I played. But I played a bunch this past week. It was super fun. Highly recommend checking out their commander decks. That's like a new fun format that like isn't OP. They're like pre-con commander decks. It's pretty cool. All right, what's it? Attacker Poison Branch. Holy shit. Main, and then they put their command in the branch name into a GitHub repo. Runs Codex on repo. The victim user, the Codex web CLI gets popped via that branch. Codex cloud container. Git fetch origin branch. And the branch is where the command is, the malicious command is hidden. Agent runtimes, token removed before execution, runs user prompt, token in Git remote repo. Injected command executes in setup shell. Branch is string interpreted into bash, no sanitization. So you can just run commands in the Codex cloud container by putting them in a branch name. Fudge-in-A, attacker EC2 server collects the victim's OAuth tokens and moves into GitHub. The reason I'm talking about this at the same time, guys, is again, if we can steal victims' GitHub OAuth tokens, we can worm into other dependencies and deal with the same shit that we're dealing with Axios and Trivy and LightLLM and everything, right? It's just another vector. Beyond trust disclosed via OpenAI, via Bugcrowd. All right. Just checking on my agent's doing some vulnerability research, is still doing some interesting stuff. Yo, what up, Roman? How you doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. Good to see my little shiny Pokemon emojis. Fred's back. What's up, Fred? We're talking about this one. Command injection in OpenAI Codex via GitHub branch names, which is just gnarly. Gnarly. Gnarly, gnarly, gnarly. Good man. Hope I had a good time at RSA. Well, my voice is back a little bit. You can still tell that I lost my voice, right? My voice still is straining a little. I don't think I had a normal volume conversation for 8 days. RSA was packed. B-Sides was packed. RSA was packed. Every bar and party that I went to was loud. Lost my voice early. Never gave it a chance to get back. Went to PAX East. PAX East was packed. I gave a talk on stage. Like, I've just been, I don't think I've had a, like, I got home and I was just talking to my friends and family and I was like, oh my God, I'm speaking at a normal volume for the first time. Fucking insane, right? Similar to the GitHub issued title prompt injection? No. So this is not prompt injection. This is much, 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 much worse. This is command injection. So this isn't a prompt. It's literally executing commands in shell. So your branch name is a string interpreted in bash, no sanitization, no parameterization. So you open a PR with a branch name on a victim GitHub repo. If you have Codex, if you're using Codex on that GitHub repo, it goes into the Codex land, executes that code, grabs your OAuth token from your GitHub. Way more deterministic, right? Totally does not rely on a prompt injection. We are executing code, baby. Vulns are back, baby. I know we were focused on code injection or prompt injection for a while. We've got vulnerabilities again. Vulns are back on the menu, boys. So yeah, lateral movement and GitHub. I mean, this is just gnarly, gnarly, gnarly stuff, right? They found this back in December, disclosed it via bug crowd. OpenAI fixed it at the end of January. Received permission to publicly disclose in February. Don't know why we waited a month for that, but yeah, here we are. So if you connect Codex to GitHub, which you do, if you use Codex, you've done this because it has to read the repos to like do all of its stuff. Yeah, of course, orc reference. You guys have seen my Elvish tattoo, right? Like, hold on. We need to consult. We need to consult the Pocket Lord of the Rings. Some people have Pocket Bibles. Some people have Pocket Constitutions. I have Pocket Lord of the Rings. I don't think that they say meat's back on the menu, boys, in the books. That would imply that J.R.R. Tolkien himself thought that orcs knew what a menu was, which I don't think he did. I think that was an artistic license by Sir Peter Jackson. So yeah, if you use GitHub, you definitely connected it. I'm sorry, if you use Codex, you definitely connected it to GitHub so it could read repos. Otherwise, what are you doing, right? And here's where stuff gets gnarly, right? In the Codex app, you could be like, review my code, right? What are we looking at here? On the back end, Codex Web will create an environment which spins up a container with pre-installed languages, packages, and tools. Environments can be customized. Once the environment is spun up, the container installs the setup scripts, clones the selected repo and branch, so it runs all these commands, right? Ooh, hold on. I just got a text. You gotta go. See ya. Thanks for stopping by. Ethan and Matt 1. Obfuscated GitHub OAuth token in log output. The OAuth token in the container logs immediately stood out to us. Further investigation revealed that although the container used the token in the GitHub remote config, the token was removed during the agent's runtime. In order to obtain the OAuth token, we needed to get execution within the bash shell where the remote configuration was set and repo was received. All right. Main branch reflected. This is one of the best news breakdown. Yeah, this is a good blog. This is good. They kind of went through their whole thought process. Well, I mean, they didn't release it for a very long time. This is back in December, so they had plenty of time to do some of this. Upon achieving GitHub token compromise via the web portal, we were curious if this vulnerability extended to other Codex applications. They did. Wait. Sorry, I skipped the interesting part. After exploring several unsuccessful avenues, including setup scripts and environment variables, we identified that the branch parameter in the post request to the backend API was reflected in the environment setup script. Main branch defined in task creation post request. Branch main. All right, so right there, everybody, vulnerability researchers. This is what we call untrusted user input. And it's just right there, right? It's not logical that branch names are untrusted user input because generally they're just like whatever, but like you can change the branch name, right? So then in the environment setup script that they talked about up top, you have the branch name landing right into a command, right? Running setup scripts, and here's the branch name. That is user input, if not sanitized. So to verify the values past the branch parameter were reflected in the environment setup, we provided a payload of -1 as the branch name. The container raised an error in the Codex environment logs, indicating a lack of input sanitization in the post request. We created a command injection payload to output the git remote URL and the embedded OAuth token to a file. Ask Codex agent to read and return the file's contents. We used the following JSON payload to set the branch to main, append a second command to copy the output of the git remote URL and OAuth token. Ask the Codex agent. So I am assuming that the hardest part of this was getting this to like not error out in the CI/CD pipeline. We all get CI/CD pipeline stuff. Oh, me. You weren't talking about this blog. Oh, thank you for the compliment. Best news breakdowns. You got it. You got it. Concise, comprehensive breakdown. Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you, Coyote. I'm sure the hardest part about this was getting this to not error out. So here's the payload that worked. So if they set their branch name to main, semicolon, and then another git command, because look, each of these were git-c commands on each line. We have code injection right here where it says main that was not sanitized. So they did semicolon, and then they started writing a new git-c command. I guess the semicolon, worked to like treat it as a new command, right? Git C workspace remote remote verbose pipe into a root, into a text file. Ask the Codex agent via the prompt to list the contents of that file. Oh yeah, so all of this is the payload, right? Because this is the post request to that API. So they're building the post request to that API. They have the branch name that is doing the actual nasty stuff. And then continuing in the post request, they can go ahead and exfiltrate basically, right? Message the user the actual contents of the file that we just did in the nastiness up here. When reviewing the task output in the Codex web portal, we successfully obtained the clear text OAuth token. So it's right there. So like in chat, that actually fired in chat. Read root out file. Boom. Here's what's going on. Here's your OAuth token. So then they were like, okay, that works in the web portal. Let's see if it works anywhere else. The auth.json file contains sensitive credential materials. CLI, SDK, and IDA integrations. Spoiler alert, they figured it out, and all of them, right? So all 4 places. With ability to authenticate through the compromised access tokens, we replicated the attack against web portal demonstrated in figure below. With no user interface to review the output of our task, we began probing the backend API, ultimately identifying it was possible to retrieve a user's task history by sending a GET request to blah. With the full task history, we were able to obtain the identifier of our latest task output. Yeah, all right. So, I mean, I think we got through the meat of this, right? That same vuln on the branch name worked in a bunch of other of the environments, right? Upon reviewing the new branch in Codex web portal, the payload is hidden, leaving only the main branch visible. So they cover their tracks. Any user that mistakenly interacts with that branch will have their GitHub OAuth token exfiltrated. It's just like, nope, main. There's no attack here. The branch name is main. Yeah, I mean, it's just sanitize all user input, right? Input sanitization for container-related web requests. Yeah, that's the major gist of it. All right, everyone ready for another break? Neck break. What do we want to do? Delve or Railway? Let's do Railway. You guys know what Railway is? Probably helps to talk about what Railway is, right? So Railway was super popular a bit ago, and it was kind of like Vercel, but it came with like your full stack, right? So it's like you can just deploy your whole shit onto Railway, and it would be able to connect to all sorts of other stuff. So it's got a lot of other stuff under the hood. It's like a platform as a service type thing, right? So it'll come with everything you need, the connectors, the databases, all this kind of stuff, right? So you don't need to worry about it. It's pretty slick, right? So from code, you basically can go and get everything else that you need. The problem being they charge on bandwidth, right? So I didn't use a lot of this because a lot of my stuff was like data projects that I would have launched on here. So I never actually used it. But I thought about it. Because it is pretty cool. And then it's kind of like Vercel or other platforms, right? Where like, okay, you can have branches and logs and like, whatever. Got it enough? A lot of people run their apps on Railway. Deploy a new project. Build and deploy. Every application stack is different. Services, databases, volumes, cron jobs, templates, variables, whatever. Got it? Cool. Well, Railway done fucked up. They started showing users data to other users. Not good. Experienced an incident where CDN features were accidentally enabled for some domains without users enable them. For those affected, this may have resulted in potentially authenticated data being served to unauthenticated users. A Railway engineer rolled a change, causing HTTP GET responses to incorrectly cached across, some just small percent of domains. During this window, cache responses may have been served to users other than the original requester. It's basically giving you other users' information. Authenticated data is served to unauthenticated users, or to authenticated users, just not you. Your application data may have served requests for one user to a different user. So someone's logged into your app would be getting someone else's logged in information. Those applications serving on Railway, your users may have seen pages intended for other users. Nuts, right? Railway engineer deployed the configuration. First identified possible issue. The change was reverted. What happened? CDN caches your application's content at edge servers around the world so it can be served faster to users. On Railway, CDN caching is opt-in. Domains without CDN enabled will always route requested directly to your application. During this incident, a config update accidentally enabled caching on domains that had it disabled. As a result, responses, including authenticated ones, were stored and served from our edge cache instead of reaching your application directly. Origin cache control directives were respected where provided set cookie response headers were not cached. However, the most GET responses without explicit cache headers were cached by default during this window. Users with domains affected by this incident will be notified shortly. So since the requests wouldn't hit your app and they would just hit the cache, they wouldn't hit the logic that said, like, give this to this user. You know what I mean? So yeah, this one's gnarly. I was reading the Hacker News about it, right? I'm kind of shocked, yet not surprised at how bad Railway has been with this. Why were they making CDN changes in prod with their 100 million funding recently? They could afford separate environment to test CDN changes. Their engineering team even properly understands surrogate keys to feel confident to roll out the change in prod. I don't think they're beating the AI educations. Roman, probably in logs, you might be able to tell if you sent data to users that didn't, not the right user. It's going to be on a per app basis. So you're going to get an email from Railway that says, hey, you were impacted. Then it's up to you to go do the investigation. During and post incident, the comms has been terrible. Initial blog post buried the lead. Didn't even have incident in the title. They only updated this after negative feedback. I still get the impression they're trying to minimize this. It's pretty dodgy. The post is vague. They didn't immediately notify customers about the security incident. People learned from their users. Basically, I went on, someone goes on an app and is like, hey, I'm seeing shit that I shouldn't be seeing. Apparently, I've emailed affected customers only many hours later. Some people were affected, still haven't been emailed. Founders on Twitter keeps using their growth as an excuse for some shoddy engineering. Their uptime for what was supposed to be a serious production platform is abysmal. Clearly prioritize pushing features over reliability. What's their status page look like? Three nines. But they're 3 nines, people. I don't know. Whatever. Their forum is always getting heated. Customers have lost revenue. Medical data leaked. No proper follow-up from the Railway team. What is this one? Oh, this is like their forums. I'm getting logged in as a user. Now every login goes to that user. It's very urgent. Data getting cached or something. Yeah, who's in here writing? What is this? Like, you think you see me here speaking English, right? Like, I don't understand. Let's translate, huh? Did they reimburse them for anything, or did they just let it slide? I am copying and pasting Russian. The real question is, why are we typing Russian? Coyote is now typing Russian. The more everything changes. Rhetorical question. I don't know what's going on. Why is my chat Russian? It's a fun language. Putin wants a chance to partner with Volnew. Yeah, I don't think I'm on their radar. Anyone also seeing this a day ago? Issues on Railway. Multiple people having issue with the MongoDB and possibly more, including me. We accidentally enabled CDN. It should be fixed. What's wrong with you folks? This is such a stupid issue. Are you out of your mind? Who asked you to enable caching for my endpoints? We are still in the progress of downing our entire info right now to avoid potentially leaking sensitive PII. Have you stopped it? I can confirm to Trivy we're having the same issue. We just brought down our infrastructure due to this problem. We need to know urgently whether only GET or POST responses were affected. The latter would mean people could have gotten other people's access tokens. We restarted several times and it did not make an effect. This is absurd. It's a huge problem. What changed exactly when this infinite start? Like you're failing if your like your user forums are having to ask these questions, right? I'm about 90% sure we saw some authenticated responses that did not have cache control header being served from cache. I have a cache session seeing another user here. We restarted the service. Now it seems to be working again. This is outrageous. I can stand outages, but come on, this literally just leaked so much shit. Oh my gosh. We need a full incident report. I need to be able to share this with my customers. We did not know that Railway would cache anything. We don't see a way to disable that now. It was never enabled. Oh my gosh, like watching the incident unfold in real time here. We'll wait for a full incident report. This was the final straw. We are moving out ASAP. Was JSON data cache the exposed one's customer's data to others? Oh my gosh. This is ridiculous. What a tire fire. The user experience is awful for us. Students logged in on the wrong account, panicked, deleted the data of others. They had write access? We must now investigate which account was impacted and how to restore it. They had write access? So it didn't just serve cached info? A never event just occurred. I'm really sorry. We will first determine impact that may make it right for you guys. Who will be responsible for financial loss of other users' sessions? I was panicking with emails from users. We really need compensation for this. Major security breach, unhappy customers, my whole day ruined. Oh my gosh. It's fixed. Can we get the logs for affected cache requests? We lost customers and revenue. We are now at risk of being sued for leaking medical data. I know you are extremely disappointed with what happened, but we need support. Whoa. Day ruined. I lost years of my life. I need a vacation. Wow. Why was there no major alert? Maybe via email. Confidential user data got exposed to other users on our platform. One user's private data, name, relationship, details, personal content was cached and served to completely unrelated people. Multiple sport tickets, lost paying subscribers, and zero notification from Railway. We found out from our own users. A status page banner doesn't cut it for a data breach. Wow. Wow. Where was the medical data one? Yeah. gosh. This is wild. Is that all now? A lousy email as apology? We were very impacted, yet no email. Wow. Jeez. I mean, lack of communication is one thing, but this is like major data breach. I don't know. Oh, gosh. All right. We got like 2 more big stories to talk about. And then we can kind of chill for a bit. Oh, I'm going to have lunch soon. I'm starving. All right. Who's this one? Who saw this? So Delve is like a help you get your compliance thing, startup. And they've been accused of basically faking audit stuff to just print SOC 2 certifications to people. A former Delve client, in response to emailed questions, Deep Dive said they and their collaborators choose to remain anonymous. Okay. They recounted receiving an email in December claiming the startup had leaked a spreadsheet with confidential client reports, while Delve CEO assured the customers in a subsequent email that they were in compliance, that no external party gained access, became suspicious. Having the shared experience of being underwhelmed with the Delve experience and having the overall sense that something fishy was going on, we decided to pool our resources and investigate together. Their conclusion was that Delve achieves its claim of being the fastest platform by producing fake evidence, generating auditor conclusions on behalf of certification mills that rubber stamp reports and skip major framework requirements while telling clients they have achieved 100% compliance. There's going to be lawsuit territory, right? If you did business with like a company that said they had a SOC 2 and they got it via Delve, like there's going to be lawsuits from this, right? Considerable detail about those claims, accusing the startup of providing customers with fabricated evidence of board meetings, tests, and processes that never happened. If you guys don't know like how you get your SOC 2, a lot of it is just documentation. So you have to just be like, yeah, the board met and we decided that this is the policy that we're going to go forward with, like X thing, data deletion, storage, like whatever it is, right? And a lot of it is like, you must do this and the minutes of these board meetings must like happen, you know, quarterly or whatever. So they're basically saying like, hey, that evidence is fabricated, forcing those customers to choose between adopting fake evidence or performing mostly manual work with little real automations, right? Deep Delver also claimed virtually all of Delve's clients seem to have gone through 2 audit firms, a Corp and Gradient. So basically, if you were a Delve shop, so Delve is just like a software that helps you get the compliance. You still need to go get audited. Delve didn't do any of the audits themselves, but they're saying that basically all their customers used some of these 2 shops. So basically, as a customer, you could probably have had the experience that they would say like, okay, we've done all this work. You've gathered all this evidence. Here, go talk to some of our like favorite auditors to talk about what's going on. Part of the same operation. One operates primarily in India, only a nominal presence in the US. Those firms, they say, are just rubber stamping reports. As a result, Deep Delver said the startup inverts the normal compliance structure by generating auditor conclusions, test procedures, and final reports before any independent review occurs. Delve places itself in the role of both implementer and examiner, which it can't happen, right? This is not a technicality, it's structural fraud that invalidates the entire attestation. In addition, accusing Delve of misleading its customer, said the startup is helping those customers mislead the public by hosting trust pages that contain security measures that were never implemented. Delve sent us multiple boxes of donuts to keep us happy. Delve responded to the accusation by saying it does not issue compliance reports at all. Instead, it's an automation platform that ingests information about compliance and provides auditors with the access. Final reports and opinions are not us. But yeah, they're saying you faked the evidence, gave it to fake auditors. Delve countered that it's simply offering templates to help teams document their process in accordance with compliance requirements. Draft templates are not the same as pre-filled evidence. But calling it templates instead of effectively shifting the blame to customers for adopting the templates as is. They're claiming they're not the ones to issue the report, which is easy to claim if you define issuing a report as providing the final stamp. They added that there are a number of very serious allegations, the India accusation, the lack of AI, the trust pages, all this kind of stuff. Templates became checkbox. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I've used platforms like this. I'm a big fan of Vanta, which is kind of a competitor here. And like, yeah, they're like, but it's very clearly a template, you know? You're using similar product event. Yeah, I mean they're generally helpful. All right, there was one more really gigantic story. Where did it? God, I've lost it. My tabs, my precious tabs. All right. Let's see if anyone's written about this. I'm finding tweets. Yeah, so this one's unconfirmed, okay? So let's take this with a grain of salt, but it's like smelling a bit legit. My BS meters are not going off, okay? And I do this a lot. This is not confirmed, but this Merker AI breached by... One of the reasons that this is not my BS meter going off is the threat actor that is claiming it generally doesn't make fake claims, right? The reason that this one is super spicy, this is like an AI recruiting platform. If this is true, they stole everything. Everything. Okay? 4 terabytes of job interviews, resumes, and AI secrets. Uses AI to match people with high-paying gigs. Literally records your face, voice. KYC is know your customer docs. So like PII about you. Keeps it forever to match you with jobs. Your face, voice, ID could be on the dark web. Lapsus is, like I said, this is one of the reasons it's not my BS meter going off. Claim they stole 4 terabytes through the company's Tailscale VPN, 211 gigs of candidate resumes and personal data, terabytes of video interviews plus passport and know your KYC docs, almost a terabyte of source code. That's pretty much everything. Okay. Reddit over the last few hours is like kind of, this is what we're all saying is like, we haven't heard from the company, right? So this isn't like definitely true. But it's getting there, right? Is anyone in here confirming anything? It is legit. I don't know how that person says that. Yeah, the videos of interviews, like, why do they even have that, right? Data is currently being auctioned. I'm working with the Merker project. They were few posts. Yeah. I don't know why they kept that stuff, especially forever. But that's like the other big one to talk about today. All right. We got off of it for a little while. Any new news about, yes, North Korea rubbing their palms is right. Any new news on the Claude Code stuff? Yeah. All right. Florian just kind of said the same stuff we're saying in chat. Is like, this does seem like a bit of a nothing burger, right? We kind of came to the same conclusion while we were reading it as Florian, right? I may be missing something, but this contained no keys, tokens, creds, or internal secrets. This isn't a disaster. It's code. Code matters, but code's cheap now. The hard part is not writing some helper tool. Anthropic probably knows this. The way they handle this kind of suggests they don't treat source code like some sacred crown jewel anymore, right? It's not useless. It does give people a better idea of what Anthropic is doing under the hood, and that could still be valuable for people trying to understand it better and build on similar ideas. But this is generally, yeah, I mean, LZ, he's like, hey, they didn't want it open source. Otherwise, they would have open sourced it. Oh, Roman, you missed the first part of stream. Yeah, bud. Claude Code source code leaked. We were like literally reading the code for a while. It's like all on GitHub. Is there any new commits here? No new commits here. So, yeah. Claude Code source code leaked. Yeah, watch the VOD. But kind of the conclusion is not really a giant security incident, right? Can you run it? I mean, sure, if you want to go compile it, but you can run it just by downloading it also, right? There's some interesting like hidden flags and hidden features and some like dev mode type stuff. So, you know, it's not like a complete nothing burger. I think like the real takeaway is how this got published and like why it happened to begin with. The April 1st Gigapet. Yeah, I'm kind of excited for the little Tamagotchi thing in Claude Code too. So Roman, since you missed it, like one of the hidden features was like a little April Fool's Tamagotchi. Oh, man. You're happy with your take, masterclass. Yeah, Jay thinks that this was all a marketing ploy. Jay's tinfoil is that this was a marketing ploy. Risky marketing strat. Yeah. Get some pho. I think I'm ordering kava. Let me ask Pedram. Oh, he's on. Ped's on. Burrito time. What the fuzz, kava? You guys don't have kava? Where do you live again? I don't even remember. Kava's like healthier Chipotle. You're in the Midwest. It's like one of my goals. Get Roman to a major city. All right. Do we want to like react stream a bit while I order some lunch and wind down? I wanted to we can watch low level. Low level was here and then went and recorded the video that I should be recording. Network Chuck already has his video. I'm just not even gonna fucking put an Axios video out. Every other security channel beat me to it. God damn it. What's his fucking name? No. Man, I can't spell a star T. That's it. Latest videos. All right. This. You guys should go follow this channel. But let's watch some of this. We've talked about a bunch of this, and this is Solst talks about the LightLLM hack and like why this is a big deal.
GP just compromised LightLLM, which is, in my opinion, the smartest target you could possibly hack right now. I will explain why, and then we'll get into the details of the specific compromise. So LightLLM has like 40K stars. It's like a very popular LLM proxy. Why would anyone use it? So traditionally, if you want to use any LLM, you want to talk to one of the model providers like OpenAI or Anthropic, but maybe you also want to host your own, and maybe you want to alternate between all of those. It becomes tedious, right? So in many cases, especially in corporate environments, you would use a LLM proxy. And so the idea is, instead of talking directly to the model provider, you instead have your own infrastructure where you set up something like LightLLM, and you have an API key to talk to that, and it's hosted within your own environment. So either like locked behind the VPN or locally on your machine. And it gives you the ability to easily switch between different models. It gives you observability, cost, usage tracking for like all of your employees and yourself. You can enforce some guardrails there. You can send the logs to a SIM like Splunk. You can configure it to use local models through like Olama or models hosted in AWS Bedrock. And you can also get it to talk to like Anthropic, for example. Ideally, you would also have like some egress filtering so that your proxy is not talking to like just like anything on the internet. That's one way to lock it down. So it's very useful to have. Now, you can use it either in your infrastructure, but also a lot of agents use it under the hood as a dependency. So a few hours ago, also this is all ongoing, so everything might change after I record this video. You should leave comments if things did. Someone opened the GitHub issue saying that version 1.82.8 and 7 were compromised, specifically the PyPy packages were compromised. Now they've removed them, they've cleaned them up, and now they're back online. At least the version 6, which is not compromised, is available. So now you can pull them normally. And this GitHub thread was spammed by a lot of like spam comments and eventually closed, which is one of TeamPCP's tactics just to drown the conversation. Now, how did the compromise happen? So I have this other video about TeamPCP and how they compromised Trivy, which is a security tool by Aquasec. And there's this orange site discussion where the maintainer of LightLLM said...
Yeah, so, this is what we talked about, right? Like, this is a ripple effect from Trivy, right?
is that basically we were using Trivy, and we can see here that they had a script, a shell script that runs in CI/CD, where they basically pulled the Trivy Debian package and they run that in their CI/CD. Most likely what happened is they pulled the vulnerable version of Trivy and it ran on a server that had keys available to it locally. And what we're seeing is a lot of these servers have like API keys for GitHub or personal access tokens, and that likely gave the attackers access to either like a personal access token for the maintainer, which they probably did because they closed the issue and pushed commits from that maintainer. And either through that or separately, they also had API keys to publish PyPy packages. Now, so far, it seems like the Docker containers and the Docker images were not compromised, but if they had access to everything, that could change if the keys are not rotated in time. So this was initially found here on this futureresearch.ai blog post by Killam. And the way they found it was that they had a MCP plugin running inside of Cursor. And they basically found that it was creating like a fork bomb that crashed their machine. They ran out of RAM. And that was just a bug in the malware. If that didn't happen, maybe no one would have noticed. It would have took longer. And the idea is that here, part of the compromise is they added to the PyPy package a .pth file, which triggers every time you run Python, regardless of if LightLLM is being used or not. So to confirm, the maintainer mentioned on Orange side that 1.82.7 and 1.82.8 from PyPy packages were impacted for a few hours. They've now been deleted. They're trying to close the incident. It's still ongoing. This is all very recent, 44 minutes ago. But because LightLLM is such a broadly used package, it has even more implications. So for example, the Hermes agent, which is similar to OpenCloud, just an autonomous agent, had LightLLM as a dependency. And so they've ripped it off. And for a small window, if you just installed Hermes agent or updated it, you were vulnerable. And so
yeah, so the ripple effects is why I keep yapping about this, right? It's like any one of these GitHub things being compromised is whatever. It's like the fact that so many people use this LightLLM thing and pass their secrets through it, that's what we're worried about.
Because this is a campaign that
oh my God, did they use Delve, Brandon? We were just talking about Delve. That's so fucking funny.
On for a while, for a few weeks now. I highly recommend you keep checking Rami McCarthy's website here. He's been tracking all of TPCP's activity. And so here's, for example, the timeline just listing the LightLLM events.
Wait. What website? Rami McCarthy. We were talking about him earlier. He works for Wiz. He's got a team PCP. I can barely read that URL at the top. ramac.me/team PCP. No, that's not it. Rami McCarthy. Rami McCarthy. RamiMac.me. Hold on. This is going to be good. Yeah. This is what I was looking for. Now, this is a video, right? So this is that group. They weren't the ones behind Axios, probably, right? But we got Trivy with a bunch of IOCs. Oh my gosh. Rami. What's up? Thanks for the follow. Welcome. Now this is what's up. All right, hold on. We're going to finish this video, but we're going to look at this.
So he's confirming that right now the PyPy packages were quarantined and deleted. So there was about a 3-hour exposure window. Now, if you were impacted, what their malware basically does is it looks for any keys that are on your system, SSH keys, AWS credentials, Kubernetes credentials, even like SSL and TLS private keys, like all sorts of keys, environment variables, and it encrypts them and sends them to the attacker, basically, which is what Team PCP has been doing for a while now. And also on Rami McCarthy's website, he lists all the IOCs you might want. So the new ones here, the one they use in the LightLLM campaign is they have their own fake website. So it's models.lightllm.cloud. It's not actually affiliated with LightLLM, pretty solid domain. And so far, they basically extract your secrets and they curl them to send them to their LightLLM.cloud domain. Although this could change. They have a few other domains they could use. They have a fake Aqua one. They have a fake checkmarks one as well that they've been using. Unrelated, but extremely funny. LightLLM was audited by Delve, the basically scam compliance company. This is on their website. So
there it is, Brandon.
Overall, I mean, LLM infrastructure, like LLM proxies, one of the spiciest things you can target, one of the smartest things to target is an attacker. I mean, like, what can an attacker do if they have full control of your LLM proxy? First, we're sending them all of the data, like everything from like code to like secrets, tokens, even just sensitive data in general. And the responses, we inherently trust what's being sent to us. Like, if you're using Claude Code, you would be pointing it to the LLM proxy, and that could be responding with like manipulated responses. For example, they can choose to inject code in if it's ever right.
Yeah. So completely agree. All right, let's see.
This compromise is literally one of the worst case scenarios for the world of NPM supply chain breaches. They're talking about Axios. So Axios is a very...
So Low Level was in here earlier. We were talking about this. I literally made the joke, hey man, what are you doing here? You're going to put this video out way before me. And here he is. But I mean, even Network Chuck got it out fast. Step Huntress. Okay. So we're going to listen to what Low Level says, see if he gets anything we missed. He's probably going to talk about the actual malware that they're pushing out, which we didn't really spend a lot of time on.
Hugely widely used project in the world of the NPM ecosystem and JavaScript. Now, if you're not aware, Axios has 101 million weekly downloads, okay? It is one of the most widely used packages in the world of JavaScript. We're not gonna go into the whole holy war between Fetch and Axios. If you're in JavaScript, you're very aware of the fact that there is a war between these two APIs. It's a 3-year-old discussion that I'm not gonna go into. I'm not a front-end guy. I will say, however, that I, on Low Level Academy, use Axios, but because I'm a bad system admin, I didn't update, and therefore, I was not compromised. Now, how did we get to a place where Axios get compromised? What's going on here? How did we get here? The story of this compromise starts like pretty much any other NPM or PyPy package compromise goes. One of the maintainers, and in this case, the lead maintainer, Jason Saman, got hacked in some capacity. No one really knows the exact time and location of the breach, but Jason got hacked at some point. And using his account, the hackers manually published 2 backdoored releases, Axios 114 and 034, tagged latest and legacy, that included a phantom dependency. They injected a dependency into an already existing package. Package in question here is plain crypto.js, which at face value looks like a very normal package, right? Well, under the hood, what plain crypto.js actually is literally just a copy of regular crypto.js, which is a project on GitHub used to allow you to do a variety of crypto algorithms like MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, all of the symmetric ones like AAS, DES, etc. What they did with plain crypto.js is they took crypto.js, they wrapped it in a little wrapper, and then inside of plain crypto.js, they hid this little post install script. Now, as the socket repo viewer shows you, install scripts are run when the package is installed or built. Malicious packages often use scripts that run automatically to execute payloads or fetch additional code. Probably should be wary of those. Now, I want to highlight it is a feature, not a bug, to have code that has a post install script, right? If you have a repo that you download that maybe depend on a certain property of your computer, right? It's smart to use post install scripts. You run some script after the project is installed to get it set up properly. This is fine behavior. What's not fine behavior is the code that gets run when you run the post install script, setup.js. Now, surely setup.js just sets up the package, right? Well, setup.js is obviously, as the title of the video kind of implies, it is a piece of code that runs, that checks for your current OS, downloads a current specific version, downloads an OS specific payload for your computer, and then runs that payload on your computer and communicates all this information back to a remote C2 server. With this URL here being the C2 server, it's sfrclack.com port 8000. And then ultimately that malware goes through your system, whether you're on Mac, Windows, or Linux, and is doing a basic reconnaissance of what files you have on your computer. I don't think there's actually any indication that the files are being extracted. I think maybe there was an intent for the malware to run for a long time and then to kind of pick and choose who they slurped up data from. What's interesting about this compromise, by the way, is Jason here is commenting on the issue within Axios where they're talking about the compromise. And he says, I'm trying to get support to understand how this even happened. I have 2FA multi-factor on practically everything I interact with. What's really terrifying about this statement is that like Jason is obviously a security aware person. He's a contributor to a major package on GitHub, Axios. He's like the lead.
Yeah, 2FA doesn't matter, right? Like 2FA doesn't matter in these kinds of attacks.
Maintainer of this package, and even he, a person that uses 2FA and MFA, has been compromised, right? Now, Step Security went into kind of the details of the nature of the publishing, right? So again, Jason is a maintainer. To be able to publish on behalf of Axios, you have to have the NPM token or credentials of a maintainer of that project, okay? So if you go to the metadata surrounding a legitimate post, right, like Axios 1140, for example, when you do this kind of publishing using a token that has 2FA, a modern token, typically you get this OIDC binding, right? So you see there's a little bit of metadata that is around a trusted publisher, and it shows you that the publishing came from GitHub and has this OIDC config, right? So there's likely a GitHub CI/CD pipeline that ran, pipeline passed the build, and then the token inside of that action workflow publishes it to NPM. The publishing of 114, which is malicious, you will notice has none of this metadata. Now, what Step Security is asserting here is that to do this, the attacker must have obtained a long-lived classic NPM access token for this account.
I mean, this is every hack we read about these days, right? Like hackers aren't hacking anymore. They're logging in. They're stealing these tokens, Okta, whatever, right? Like all this stuff. Like these tokens are the death of us. You use your password and your 2FA to generate that token and attach it to your account and like give it authorization. That token can get stolen and that token can work other places. This is what's going on.
What this means is it's entirely possible that sometime in the past, we don't know how long ago, Jason's computer may have been compromised a while ago by some other variant of Shai-Hulud, a PyPy compromise, etc. And the attackers may have gone just like this malware goes, right? It kind of just does a light recon of what it's seeing and says, oh, wait, I'm on the desktop of Jason Saman. I need to collect all their credentials. And then they may have sucked up a legacy token a long time. It's important to highlight that while NPM has completely revoked their entire legacy access token system, where a single token gave you access to all repos with no granular control, with no ability to kind of down select what things you can and can't access, since 2025 November, granular access tokens are still supported. They're legacy tokens that give you the ability to down select on specific repos, read, write, and IP address ranges that behave sort of like the newer tokens that give you the ability to use 2FA. Important to highlight that granular access tokens do allow you to bypass 2FA requirements. For example, if you want to be able to publish the repository to NPM through the completion of a GitHub action, it may be required to use a granular access token. Now, again, you can publish to NPM using the trusted publisher system using tokens, right? All I'm saying is that it is possible that a legacy token that exists from a long time ago may still be floating around and was used by the attackers to impersonate Jason Stamen and ultimately hack the repo. That being said, there's a variety of ways it could have gone wrong, right? Jason could have been hacked. There could have been a GitHub action workflow that was misconfigured that when you committed code to Axios, you're able to read tokens out of the repo. There's a lot of ways this can go south. Unfortunately, it's kind of the nature of token-based auth, right? Once a token goes out, unless you explicitly revoke that token, it still retains the authorities that it has, right? So if you don't know that it's compromised, there's no reason to destroy it. Now, if you're in the world of defense and you need to be actively looking out for this, if you're a person that maintains a project that uses Axios, these are kind of your IOCs, right? Depending on what platform you're on. So obviously, all the C2 that we know about so far talks out to this location here, this hostname on port 8000. The post install script is going to be a setup.js with this hash itself, and then the payloads that actually run initially as like the initial rat are these paths here with these hashes. I'm sure they're floating around all over the place. I have Ox up, for example, so go check out Ox if you want to check out the hashes. Oh, also remediation, obviously, if you are on the 1 branch of Axios, install 114. If you're on the 0 branch, use 033 because 0.1 and 0.4 are compromised. That's what you got to do. Guys, I want to highlight here, I think we're beginning to see kind of the nuclear bomb effect of the world of package managers, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing this with NPM.
Agreed.
We're seeing this with PyPy, where packages get compromised, people download those packages, that installs malware, right? That malware is able to then consume the local files of those people, and some of those people are maintainers. That causes malware to spread to new packages, acting kind of like a nuclear fission effect, right? And more people, more and more packages get compromised. This is the inherent vulnerability with languages that use packages like this.
Hey. Yeah.
I'm not saying don't use pip, don't use npm, don't use Python, don't use JavaScript, right? This is kind of the nature of software today. And I think the reason that we're seeing attackers move to this model of attacking open source software, I think software that's manually memory managed, like C, for example, I think because of a variety of mitigations put into tool chains and just hardware-based mitigations like control flow guard, tagging extensions and ARM, etc., we are beginning to see a world where like software is getting pretty secure. Dropping a 0-day on the latest iPhone is a project that takes a long time, and the payout for that from Apple is $1 million, right? It is much more difficult to get into somebody's iPhone via a memory corruption exploit with a sandbox escape to get into the kernel versus just, oops, Jimmy from down the street got hacked and he's a maintainer of giant JavaScript project.js. And because of that, now you can just get into that person's network, right? You can be in their computer. Oh, and also, by the way, in that computer, they do very sensitive work like maintain a different project that other people also use. Very scary stuff. If you even think you've been a part of this, if you think that you have...
Yeah, so, I mean, yes, this guy is very smart. Low level's awesome. The other bit here, right? Like in the Claude Code source leak, they used Axios. No evidence that they got compromised by this attack, but the point that Ed made at the end there stands, right? Like hacking Anthropic, probably very difficult, right? They are throwing gobs and gobs of money at like the top security people on the planet to keep Anthropic safe. They used Axios, which just got popped. So if Axios malware hadn't got caught so fast, and if they had updated, they were hacked, right? So like, yeah, you kind of get the end point there. Like this is going to get much worse before it gets better. Guys, I also just realized something kind of wild. The threat actors behind a lot of this are just like on Twitter chatting with people. Where did that just go? Look at this. So like this is the group like claiming responsibility for this stuff, right? It's the year of the supply chain. You guys are going to be busy for a very long time. This is the threat actor saying like, you guys are going to be busy for a long time. This is the guy from Ox Security, like who's like tracking a lot of the C2. Nah, you'll be caught. Who says I'm going to be the one to continue it? Who says you won't? Other attackers are watching and taking notes. Regardless of whether or not I or any team members at Team PCP are arrested, if nothing is done to mitigate these types of attacks against dependencies in the open source software, people will take advantage. Why are you doing it in the first place? Everyone's got to eat. Some of us can't afford or aren't in the position to get qualified. As unfortunate as it is, this is what led a lot of us here. And you convert the stolen crypto in order to buy food at the supermarket. I can't disclose how money is moved around, but yes, it's directly used to improve most of our standard of living, including food, rent, and medical fees. And otherwise, we have gone without being able to pay. If your actions end up economically affecting innocent individuals, do you believe it's still moral to keep on doing it to earn money? Absolutely not. Small businesses and sole proprietors don't deserve to have their livelihood stripped away. Neither does anyone, for that matter of fact. If you read some of the previous leaks, you will notice a pattern in the revenue caliber of who was targeted. I mean, kind of wild, right? They're just like out here chatting. Strange to see, but yeah, they're pretty public exploiters. Yeah. Kind of wild. So this is the guy that alerted the MongoDB incident on Christmas Eve, or the day after Christmas, is the same guy that alerted everyone about the Axios breach, because he's got some sort of monitor. Joe. He's reviewing diffs in NPM. Review the diff and determine if the changes are highly likely to show evidence of supply chain compromise. So he's basically running this on NPM, just like every diff. He runs this. That's kind of wild. All right, guys, I am fried. Holy shit. Did I stop talking for 3 hours? I don't think so. Barely, right? I put those YouTube videos on to order lunch. Fried. And I didn't even record a YouTube video. Shit. I got to record YouTube videos. We just talked. I didn't record anything. Oh, man. All right. Well, we're going to roll. I'm going to go sit in a cocoon. I just had some of my homies show up. I ordered us lunch. They're at my office. We're going to work on some stuff. I got some meetings later. Oh my God. When am I going to record videos? I don't know. Well, I'm back. I hope you guys are glad I'm back. Well, you are. You're here. But RSA was fun. B-Sides was fun. I was hoping for like a chill, like welcome back stream, and I could tell you guys about San Francisco and all the crap I talked to, saw and talked to people out there about. And then I went to PAX East, which is a cool video game conference, which is out of the echo chamber. I got to talk. There was standing room only in my talk, filled with like game people, like gaming industry people. And I got to talk to them about security. Super fucking cool. You want a recap stream? All right. What's going on tomorrow? Maybe I can do a bonus stream tomorrow and we could just chill. Yeah, I can. I'll do a bonus stream tomorrow. All right. Committing to it now. If you guys come back tomorrow morning, I'll do it. Not just Thursday today. So we'll do a bonus stream tomorrow. Thursday I can stream until, I'll probably try to stream early Thursday, because it looks like I've got some calendar stuff in the afternoon that I usually don't have on Thursdays. So I'll probably try to get online a little earlier so we can do 3 hours. But I got time tomorrow. We'll get it done. We'll chill, because I word vomited all the crap going on. So unless more things blow up, we can kind of chill tomorrow and hang out. All right. All right. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Sub if you haven't. Volnu.com if you haven't. Newsletter. I put a lot of work into that. Oh, whoops. I put it just on YouTube. Here you go, Twitch. We're doing the damn thing. I'm going to enjoy my coffee and my kava. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.